Hi everyone, it's me Liz with 143 Handmade, and I'm here to do a setup Saturday, and I'm going to share how I have my buttons stored. So I have this shelf that's been in my house my whole life, and it was my grandmother's before that, possibly my great-grandmother's, but it's a cup and saucer shelf, so it has that groove along the back edge to hold the saucer up. But for now, it's storing buttons. And I'm going to take you to the desk so we can see the jars up close, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so here we are at the desk, and we're just going to take a look at some of these smaller jars and the pros and cons of different ones. So let's start off with the cons and get those out of the way. Don't get a jar that has, this is my 2 cents worth on it, is that getting the jar that has the, like, you can see how this jar is like rippled, and then it also has the striping. You can't see through that very well, so I don't really care for this one, but I haven't come across a better jar yet, so I still have buttons in it. And these are my shank buttons. And so a lot of these are on cards too, so it makes it easy, the nice wide lid, wide jar. That's why I still have this jar, because I haven't found a better jar that's short and wide like this one. But I highly recommend getting jars that you can see through well. And let's see, another con for me is a lid that doesn't actually close. This one closes through gravity, but if I lay it on its side, see, it's just gonna pop open. That doesn't really work well for me. I'm very clumsy, I have a lot of pets, and so I really prefer the ones that close tight. This one is just a spice jar, literally just out of the kitchen. I washed it and using it. These were salvaged. These are some sort of medicine bottle. It could have just been aspirin. These were salvaged from my husband's grandmother's house, and the labels were already long gone, but these are metal lids, and we were able to wash them and sterilize them, and they're now perfect storage for my buttons. I have these teeny tiny buttons in this one, and then I have just gray buttons in this one. These are all matching gray buttons. But one of the things I don't care for with these is that they are, awfully narrow, and it can be hard to get out, That's why I don't have a bunch of miscellaneous buttons in this tall-way one. I actually really want to sculpt a dragon around this one, but I just haven't got to it yet. So until then I can hold my buttons. These are my preferred jars. It doesn't, the size as far as how tall, how wide, all of that kind of changes. I have different ones of different sizes, just, what I have found at secondhand shops, Hobby Lobby, on sale, that sort of thing. But I really like these that, close like that have that wire. I don't know what it's called. Excuse my dust. But yes, I absolutely love storing my buttons in these, because these are, like I said, I'm really clumsy. I knock stuff down, when I'm gathering everything for a particular project. A lot of times I'll have a laundry basket, and or some sort of, a basket or a box or something like that, and I'll be just tossing everything into the box for that project. And so if I'm going to be using buttons, one of these can just be tossed in there, and the buttons aren't going anywhere. So that's really cool. Something to consider is when you're buying these, is you do want to make sure they have a decently large opening. You don't want to go too much smaller than this. I think this is like an 1.5 inches or so, 1.75 inches. This whole big round area. Because you want to be able to stick 2 fingers down in there and still grab a button. That's what I have found is my limit. So these are a little on the small side, but these were, like I said, these were salvaged, so I'm happy to use them. But if I was going, when I'm out at the secondhand store looking at them, or purchasing one or whatever, that is something I consider. And then this is just, we have a bunch of dogs, and we buy them a box of tennis balls for Christmas every year. And last year it was like a box of 48 or something like that, but it came three to a can like this. And then, but you know, the dogs, you know, if you give a gift like that to a person, leaving it all in its containers, that's great. That's the way you would, you know, do it. But for the dogs, we took it completely out of all the containers and just had it in a very loosely wrapped box, and then we put some treats in. And just before we loosely wrapped it, you know, and they got to scratch at the paper and have a good old time opening it, and then they got to immediately, sorry about that, immediately play with the tennis balls. So that was super fun. So even though this is not a glass container, it has a good memory, you know, and it works really, really effectively, because before I had my buttons, all the buttons from my husband's grandmother were in old metal coffee cans, you know, and that's fabulous in a lot of ways, but I couldn't see them. It was hard to juggle. And they were full. It was 2 of them that were just full, and so they were very heavy. They were awkward, you know. And so when I got these, I actually took the buttons out and I put a bunch on a cookie sheet, and then I would wash them and then dry them and put them into here. And so that way, because like I said, they were salvaged out of her house after she passed, and the house was not in very good condition. And so I wanted to go ahead and wash everything, and that was a great way to do it. And now they're stored, and I did separate out black and white, but everything else is in here. I mean, with a few exceptions. I missed that white one, you know, but for the most part, I did pull the black and whites out. But other than that, this is just her collection, and I have pulled buttons from here for all kinds of things. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I know I got a little chatty there and sidetracked, but I hope that helped you with your button storage. And thank you, and join me again next week for a Setup Saturday. I have Threaded Thursdays going on, Mass Make Mondays, I have Sewing Sundays, and a bunch of other stuff coming, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate every minute we hang out together. Thank you.